What's up and welcome back to the Kind of Funny Gamescast for Tuesday, September 17th, 2024. Of course, I am your host, Tim Geddes. Today, I am joined by the new face of video games, Blessing Adeoye Jr.
Good day, Tim.
And the Big Daddy himself, Greg Miller.
Ahoy, Timothy!
We are weeks away from Ben's birthday.
October 8th, of course, you all know it is going to be the Vessel of Hatred, Diablo 4. We can't wait. There's no better way to celebrate my son's birthday than going out there and tearing it up Diablo style.
Oh, yeah. Also, look at this. We got our, oh, it's not in the shot. 5 million hours watched on Twitch. And we get this.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, thank you.
Bleed
That's
purple.
exciting.
That's
I
what
like
they
that
say,
a
right?
lot.
Dang.
We be twitching, y'all. We be twitching a whole bunch.
When do we get the YouTube thing? Like the play button?
We got that a long time ago.
Oh,
Bless.
did I miss that? Oh, man.
We got those when you were a fan.
Oh, man, good for us.
It was a traditional kind of funny thing of like they hung in the old office and then it was we moved here and it was like, where should we put them? And somebody was like, we should put them in the bathroom above the toilets. And then there was a conversation, isn't that kind of offensive to what they are? And so then the conversation ended and we never hung them, period.
Kind of funny, everybody.
We should put them like over by the
They should be
thermostat
somewhere.
or
Like
something.
in the streaming room or something.
Sure.
Oh, you're talking about
What
literally.
about the toilets, you coward? You sit down, you look at what you achieved.
It's true.
That is very
That's how
true.
it works.
That is very true. Instead of right now in the bathroom, I'm just sitting there looking at a Babstar, a Batgirl like autographed drawing,
Greg, to
which
me.
is awesome. But yeah, it's to Greg, which like obviously makes sense, but there's something just very funny about it just being in the bathroom. You know what I mean?
Every time I'm in the bathroom, I think of Babstar.
It's a whole thing, everybody. Remember, this is the Kind of Funny Gamescast. Each and every weekday, we get together to talk about the biggest reviews, previews, and topics in video games live on YouTube, Twitch, and podcast services around the globe. If you love what we do, please support us with the Kind of Funny membership on Patreon or YouTube to get all of our shows ad-free. You can watch us record them live, and you get a daily exclusive show. For a chance to be part of the show, submit your thoughts and opinions as YouTube super chats as we go. A little housekeeping for you. You already got a conversation about Marathon, Bungie's Marathon, maybe launching at $40. Okay, let's see how this goes over. I doubt it's going to go well, Bless.
It's not. It can't. It can't.
It
launch
just
for 40
simply
bucks.
can't. But check out Games Daily to hear these beautiful gentlemen talk all about that. And then after this, Nick is back, and he misses gaming with Mike. So they're going to be playing more Supermarket Simulator. Nick's just all in, man. He just wants to work at a supermarket.
I appreciate how many people saw the thumbnail from yesterday's thing, and then he got a new job on the Kind of Funny podcast, and they thought he worked at Trader Joe's. I appreciate that.
That is amazing. And yes, of course, Nick Scarpino did in fact get a new job. If you want to hear about that, you're going to have to listen to the Kind of Funny podcast yesterday to kind of detail what that actually means and what it's going to mean going forward.
So on the calendar, it said Kingdom Hearts 2. So he switched from Kingdom Hearts 2 to
It has
Supermarket
switched. It has
Simulator?
switched. And a big reason for that, Bless, a big reason for that is at 2 p.m. The stream's going to be a little short today because at 2 p.m. Pacific time today, waiting for the punchline, Nick Scarpino's full-length feature film documentary is finally going to be released to the public for free, so everyone will be able to watch it. It's going to be a YouTube premiere on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames, so check that out. And do not fret, Mike will return to the friendship that is Kingdom Hearts 2. Okay. He just wants a longer stretch of time.
They ate the
to be
pow
able to-
fruit.
and they're going to continue to eat that fruit. Thank you to our Patreon producers, Carl Jacobs and Delaney Twining. Today we're brought to you by Shady Rays and Hims, but we'll tell you all about that later. We got to get to it. The topic of the show.
Tots.
The Plucky Squire. It's finally here.
Finally here. Talk about a game you've seen for so long.
Exactly. A very, very, very hyped indie game that we have been looking forward to for many years at this point. It is one of those games that we were waiting for the release date, didn't expect to ever get a release date, and now y'all get to play it. But is it good? Is it great? Is it amazing? Is it bad? We're going to find out. The Steam description is as follows. Storybook characters discover a three-dimensional world outside the pages of their book and must jump between 2D and 3D realms to save their friends in this charming action adventure. The developer is All Possible Futures. The publisher, of course, is Devolver Digital. It is out today. Greg Miller,
Hi, Tim.
you have beat the Plucky Squire.
That's me.
What are your thoughts?
Oh, man. Where to begin?
Good question.
The Plucky Squire is a very enjoyable game. However, I don't think that makes it a good game. On the kind of funny scale, I give it a 6.5. I think this is an okay game. So 6.5 out of 10. Thank you for tossing up the scaler so you could see. The cardinal sin of the Plucky Squire comes down to maybe two sins, I guess. Number one, just being too easy. So that you never feel like you need to overcome anything. Like this is a breeze to play through. And what usually I think that could be forgiven is the second sin, where it has a bunch of different gameplay concepts and does the thing that I find most heartbreaking about a lot of indie games, but games in general, which is that it commits to none of them. And so there are a lot of cool ideas here that are never fleshed out to feel compelling enough that when I'm doing it, I'm having a great time. This is an interesting one. Usually you talk about how long it took you to beat a game. My clock is completely screwed up because I had a game-breaking bug on PlayStation 5 where it broke the game. I could not advance. I reached out to the PR team who reached out to the developers who came back and did inform me that this is a bug that is known. It will be fixed. It's already fixed on the PC version. Would you like a PC save? Yes. The way Plucky Squire uses its autosave feature for your one save slot, I had no way to get back to something beforehand, and even then, whatever. So, I think it took me around 8 hours, give or take, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more. Hard to say because I jumped over in the middle of this after having to take a break and yada yada yada. I enjoyed my time with it. It is a absolutely gorgeous game, a beautiful game. I think it's animated incredibly well. I like the storybook nature of it. I think it may be a little too one note. I didn't fall in love with the characters and what was going on in it, but I enjoyed reading it, especially as a dad of a nearly 3-year-old who reads a lot of storybooks. I got that vibe. I understood what they were going for, but sadly it didn't translate to gameplay. And a lot of you had already done a preview of this, the first 4-ish hours, I believe is what you played. And when I was talking about this early on, the person who put it the most succinctly, to the point where I was like, I wish I had thought of that. That is too good. Was Roger Picorni, of course, the tastemaker. And when I was like, are you on this? Are you going to be on the review? Are you playing? And he's like, no, the preview didn't do it for me. I'm not going to play any more of it. And I went, oh man, wow. Why is that? And he goes, I loved the style, but I was looking for the substance. And when we finished the demo, I realized the style is the substance. And I was like, that is a great way to put it. Plucky Squire, I think, is so lovingly handcrafted and beautifully realized, both the 2D version and then the thing. We'll talk about all this. That I think the gameplay fell by the wayside, and it's just not a compelling game to play, which again, I think is an enjoyable experience. If you want to get into a kid's storybook, if you want to go through and have a cute little tale and see what they're doing here, it's great. But as a game, I think it fails to be compelling.
Plucky Squire, more like the picky critic. You know what I'm talking
my
about?
goodness, this guy,
I just had
it was
to-
not held ever
But-
too.
I love that.
No, I'm very.
I mean, it's been one of those things. I look at the scores today, and I talked about this when we were off camera. But 9 o'clock, I open my phone. I'm like, IGN, 7 out of 10. I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. I don't get me wrong. We don't all need to be the same reviewer, but I like feeling like I'm not crazy because there's been a couple of reviews lately. I feel like a crazy person. And then I go to Metacritic, or I go to GameSpot, 9 out of 10. And I'm like, uh-oh, here we go. And I go to Metacritic and it's got 10s and 100. I'm like, okay, this is going to be another one where it's like, I have a very particular opinion about this. Again, I like our scale. I like exploring it. I don't think an okay game is a bad game. I think you can play that. I think, but if when we get into more of my criticisms of what I did. But
Totally. And yeah, I want to read Paris, who tweeted out, the Plucky Squire is a 10 out of 10. Yeah, I said it, 10. That lived up to all my expectations. The story, the puzzles, the art style, the animation. It's a storybook come to life. Play this game. So yeah, definitely opinions all over the place. I didn't get to talk about this yet.
And it's rare that Paris gives something a 10 out of 10.
That's what they say.
That is what
I've
they
never
say.
seen him.
I've never seen it.
I've never
I
seen
don't
him hype something, you know?
know. But
Wait, he's going to roll up in a Plucky Squire chair in a second. You know what I mean? I love you, Paris. I love you, Paris. I love you, Paris.
I played the preview of this as well, but I did it on my Mexico trip, so I haven't been able to talk about it anywhere. And I feel similarly to the vibes that are going around the office here, which it kind of I feel like Greg being the only one to actually complete it, I think does say a lot as well.
Yeah, again, you started it, Roger had started it, Andy had started it as well. So I know that like people had the chance. There was a preview section. But yeah, sorry.
But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed what I played a lot, and it is very simple. It is very just kind of like it's interact. It's less a game of challenge and more a game of just interacting with things to make cool things happen.
Sure.
And to that extent, I enjoyed it, and I did want to keep playing. for review codes, we couldn't play on the Steam Deck. And me, I'm like, this is definitely a Steam
Backbreaker.
Deck game
Yeah,
for me.
yeah,
So
for sure.
I'm still interested in playing through this because I did enjoy it enough that I want it. I want the experience because I feel like it's so charming, and I feel like the art style, like the style being substance and all that stuff, like I'm here for it.
Yeah.
But I totally get what you're saying about it. Of like it, I do wish that there was a bit more. It's funny because it reminds me a lot of Cuphead, a game that you look at and like, and I think similar development cycles in the sense of like the first moment we all saw this, we're like, and the first moment we saw Cuphead, it's like, I want that game. I want to play
I need
that
more
game.
with that. Yeah.
And then to finally be playing it, I'm like, oh, it achieved what it was going for. But with Cuphead, it's like such a beautiful style and then just brutal gameplay. But like that was the point, and that was the challenge. And like you get to see these amazing animations over and over because you keep dying. Whereas this, it kind of just feels like the challenge isn't there. It is more just about having a lot more of the animations and fun little character moments. And I really feel like the music backs up the style, like the visual style of the game very well. And the VO is super fun.
Yeah, we're talking about the game, and you read the top of it, right? But the idea here is that if you are an audio listener and you're not watching, is that the entire game happens inside a storybook on a child's desk. When it opens up and you're playing as Jot, who is of course the Plucky Squire. You have a sword. You're also a writer, so there's some wordplay in there. I'll get to in a little bit when we talk about some of the puzzles and my disappointment with them. But the idea is that it's all happening inside of a book. As the pages turn, the big colorful pages, not the word bubbles you'd be seeing here, are narrated by a narrator who's reading it to you, which is a very nice thing, and the narration's great. Stuff like this is going to be.
Honey Badger seemed rather annoyed. Jot prepared.
Oh,
for a
damn.
dust-up.
And then it just turns straight up into
and muted
Punch-Out!
here.
Yeah.
And so again, this is one of my criticisms of the game, is that they toss in this mini game, and there'll be two other protagonists who roll with the Plucky Squire. You are the Plucky Squire, but when they have their mini game, you play with them as boss fights too. So all of a sudden, there's just 3 mini games in here that are all 3 of them are different, and then you'll do them once in a boss fight, and then again at the end of the game. And it's like, but why? Like, I only found one of them enjoyable. Like, why did we do this? Why? Again, it's an idea that somebody had that got in the game, and then I didn't feel it got fleshed out. But it's not even, I think, the biggest cardinal sin of what they're doing here, right? The puzzles, that Paris called out there, and I saw a couple other people be like, oh, there's these word puzzles in them. I was so excited for that. Eventually, Bear's doing a great job here. You'll eventually run into some words on the ground. They'll have green swirls on it. Is it Kevin?
Yeah, it is, Greg.
Oh, I'm so sorry. It's confusing me when y'all run around and do the thing. There's green swirls on words that you can take out of words on the page when you're playing and then rearrange them, which then changes the layout to solve puzzles. And I was like, oh, what a great idea. The problem is, again, I think it's one of many ideas in here, which means it never gets the full spotlight, where it's like, I obviously am talking just very top level here. I'd say once a chapter you get to do that, maybe twice a chapter. I thought it would have been a way more compelling game to keep the combat as basic and easy as it is and have that be the challenge, and have it be that, oh, well, I'm in chapter 9 and I need X, Y, and I think I should solve the puzzle this way. I'll go back to chapter 1, get the word, whatever, cuddly, and bring it over here to make the monster I'm trying to fight cuddly or whatever, right? Maybe I'm thinking of a Scribble Knots type of game or whatever, right? But that is not even remotely as deep as it goes. It literally is usually... You're given, first off, if you're inside of a chapter, you can't go back to the chapter before you're in the chapter you're in, which limits the number of pages you'd be able to use, let alone usually it's on the same page or maybe one page over. And then the biggest thing is you talk to Moonbeard here, the wizard. Moonbeard and mini Moonbeard, who will show up or whatever. It reminded me so much of God of War 2018 in your criticisms of Atreus, where it's like, hey, Plucky Squire, we're presenting this problem, and then in the next word bubble, you're giving me the solution. It's like, well, no, let me at least flounder for a second. Mini Moonbeard, who's in there, you can walk over and talk to, and he'll give you a hint, which is also the solution, right? It's like the game gets in its own way of like trying to make it so frictionless to move through that then there's just really, I don't feel a vibe to the gameplay of it. And there's so many cool ideas here of like, we're seeing and talking right now about what's happening on the 2D plane. The hook of the game, right, is eventually there are these portals, these green swirls on the ground, spirals, that you can walk to and pop out and exist then on the desk as a 3D character, right, in a 3D world. When you do that, lots of times it is just fighting the same enemies now in 3D around the world to get whatever the MacGuffin is to go back in the book. but you eventually get these stamps that you can then use to enact in the world you're fighting, right? So you can drop bombs or use this red hand to stop things that are moving. And again, I was like, when I get it, it's a very basic introduction of, all right, here's this stamp that'll stop things happening inside of the book. So like there's a moving like saw blade basically to go through. I was like, awesome. This is going to lead to some really cool hopping in, hopping out, do this thing, do the thing. But it's like, no, it's usually hop out, do the thing, hop back in and advance through it. And again, I don't feel like I used the hand all that much, especially when they have puzzle books that are books in the puzzle that then become, you eventually get the ability to manipulate the book. So obviously when the Plucky Squire jumps out, Jot jumps out, he can turn the pages, but then you have puzzles that'll be manipulate the entire thing. So you lift the sides of the book to have bricks slide down, right, to block things or do this and move this. There was only one in, I want to say chapter 9, and there's 9 chapters to the game. Maybe it's chapter 8, where it was like, I had to stop and be like, well, what am I supposed to do? Why am I not? Oh, there it is. Okay. Like I wanted more of that. Like, again, they have, I think these systems, they have great systems in here. They just don't flesh them out to make them compelling where I'm like, oh, I'm excited for this puzzle. Oh, I'm excited to do that thing. It's whatever. And even right here is you get an art scroll. This is another great idea that I don't see a lot of games do. You're unlocking art in the game and you're unlocking concept art. So then you go in to look at the concept art and it tells you a little story, a very brief story of like, we eventually ended up making it look like what you're playing, but this is where we started and stuff. And I love that idea of it. Here's a great one of the word puzzles of like, cool. And again, this is like, I think the first one, right? You see gate hidden over there. It never gets bigger than this. And I'm not, I saw some people's reviews today talking about, it's this kid's game, so it's this, that, and the other. And I get that, but I think even for a kid's video game, and like so many people are bringing up Zelda or something like that, it's just a bit too brain dead of what it is. And I think that it's clearly meant for us, the gamer, I feel like, right? More than just a kid. And granted, anybody's going to play a game, I understand, but I think they had, you look at this and it is so stunning. It is such a great idea. It is so cool. The visual, even when I was like, combat's basic in 2D and 3D. Still, when I hopped out of the book, I was like, this is cool. And Sam's desk continues to change as you play. And there's a meta narrative to what's happening here. Because, of course, what's happening is the Plucky Squire, the character, is a popular kid's book, right? Many iterations. He was always, though, running up and fighting the sorcerer Humgrump. And Humgrump, of course, figures out here that they're in a book and he can change it. So it's this idea of like, Plucky, you have to stop him, otherwise our world's ruined, and the kids on the outside who are inspired by you, they'll be ruined too, and da-da-da. Like, there's an interesting narrative there that's played with, but again, it never rises to the level of like, oh my God. And like, playing through it, and it being a kid's game, and it being so cute, and again, it is a cute game. It
might be the cutest game.
It is a sweet game here as you get one of the glitch birds or whatever. Like, it reminded me so much, even though I didn't like Chicory, remember? I didn't connect with Chicory. I still like the characters, and I still like the interactions, and I still like that. I feel like they're going for something like that here, and it didn't work for me in the same way. I never was all about Violet, who you see on screen there. Thrash eventually shows up. Like, they have a cute little dynamic, but it's, again, surface level. I feel like so much of the game is surface level, and it's an enjoyable experience to play through, but when my save borked, I was very much like, huh? Like, I wasn't like, I gotta see how this ends. Oh, I gotta do the next thing. I was prepared to come in here and have the headline be the Plucky Squire review, parentheses, 70%.
Yeah.
And just be like, hey, I played this much and I'm not compelled to go back to it. I was never compelled to get back into it. And I think that's both, I think it's solely because the game just doesn't commit to anything, to where I don't think the story is super engaging. I don't think the things you're doing in the game are super engaging. It's cute. It's beautiful. There's fun to be had here, but it's not what I wanted, which of course is the Greg, oh, this feels like a cozy cup of hot chocolate. This is something I want to play, and I felt like I left here with a sweet experience.
It's funny because you kind of already answered my question, because I was going to ask mainly about the kid aspect of it, because I played the first chapter for my preview, and I kind of came away with it with the same feeling of you guys, where I was like, okay, like I can see where this is going as far as how cool it is to look at, how cute it is, how much I like the art style, but the gameplay felt so basic that it felt like I was playing a kid's game.
Yeah.
And
I don't feel like that's what Devolver's marketing it as. And
no.
It's like, oh, this is a child's game.
But like for you, this isn't something that you would bust out again to play with Ben, or like, do you feel like this would translate to him?
No, I mean, but that's a hard one, right? Since Ben's 3 years old, right?
Yeah.
They're even though these are such basic video game concepts, I think
can't read.
The idea, yeah,
That's a good
exactly,
point.
right? Flipping it around, like, I don't see this being one that he would eventually connect to, because again, I think the game's at the heart of the game and what it's doing is it wants it to be nostalgic for when you read storybooks and you were a kid and you were being inspired by something, right? Like those are the tropes they're playing with and going with and doing fun things with. But again, I think it's all enjoyable, and I don't think that leads necessarily to a good video game. I feel like I think it might have been Polygon who said something like that. I actually let me get the quote because I really appreciated what they put. I thought they put it well.
As we're getting to it, my other question also is just about the 3D and the 3D 2D aspect in the going back and forth.
Yeah.
How does the 3D feel? Like the 2D, you can kind of as we're watching the gameplay, like it feels how it looks from what I played, right? Like it is a Zelda type, gameplay style, and then you have those 2D sections that it switches to, and it is basic, but it works how it looks like it works. The 3D stuff I never got to, and I've always been fascinated about because I really like that idea.
Yeah.
Did it feel natural? Did it feel good to play?
I mean, like if it natural, yeah, but again, it's the same idea of everything you're doing here, you're just doing there. The first time you pop out and you see the characters you've been seeing in 2D and 3D, it's like, oh, that's a cute concept, but then it still is just mindlessly hit him with the sword, right? Dodge, roll out of the way, throw your sword if you need to. But again, if you get hurt, they immediately give you health. So it's just, and I'm not a crushing difficult player by any stretch of the imagination. But when I'm spending the light bulb currency I'm getting to unlock more damage to my weapons, like even when I got more damage for my weapons, they didn't feel like they did more damage. Like it wasn't like, oh, this won't be annoying isn't the right word, but it won't. If my sword damage gets up to level 3, clearly I'm gonna hit these things and it'll be one hit, and it wasn't that case. I'm like, all right, well, like, are they leveling and scaling too? And then it's like, on top of the mini games I'm talking about for the bosses, you eventually have a little mouse you're working with, not one of these bad mice. Okay, this is Pip we're talking about. He's a motivated mouse. We like him. But like he has a whole stealth section then of like it's a rhythm-based stealth thing of you hopping around and doing, and like you saw the boxing mini game, but then Thrash has got a mini game where the boss is throwing things at you, and it's like it's another rhythm one with your drumsticks of hitting them out of the air. And then Violet's got one that's like not Puyo Puyo, but you're shooting the bulbs to make threes to blow them up or whatever. I liked that one, but it was like all these things you get a quick taste of, and it's not enough to either satisfy you or compel you, I feel like, in what it's doing. Look, Polygon though, let me go over there if you don't mind. Of course, Polygon doesn't score their reviews. This is written by Ollie Welsh. Their conclusion comes down of we joined it in progress. It's a fantastic concept, but a lackluster design that neither surprises player nor meaningfully empowers them. It's a classic example of a game that must have been made for a thrilling half-hour demo at the pitching stage, but never quite found itself in production. And I think that crushes it. Where again, we look at this thing, all the demos we saw, and we're like, that looks so much fun. And then playing it, it was like juicy fruit, where I chewed it for a little bit, and I'm like, all right, there's no flavor anymore. Like, I see your one flavor, and we keep going, and it's like, okay, I'm going to keep doing this. Where I was like, man, I wish I was doing more word puzzles. Again, the idea of folding the book, and eventually they introduce these things of like, there's these green glowing parts of environments that you have to shut the pages together, right? And then when you open it, they've jumped to the other page. I'm like, that's a great idea, but you've introduced it and barely use it. You introduce this and you barely use it. You introduce this and you barely use it. I would rather seen them drop 3 or 4 of the mechanics they put in and put all their time into. Yeah, combat is basic as hell, but there's so many words to go do to really get through this puzzle. Or we're dropping the word mechanic all together because, again, like even in their concept art, they talk about the fact that Plucky originally wasn't a writer. He was just the Plucky Squire, but then they wanted the word thing, so they put like ink on his hands and stuff, so it would look like, and it's like, that's an interesting thing you tack onto him that I don't know if you needed, right? Get rid of that then and make it more puzzly based or more combat based. Like, it's just an overall okay experience. But
and how is this not the best game of all time? Like everything I'm seeing here just looks so great, but like I get it because from what I've played, even it's like I saw someone in the chat be like, oh, this is very similar to like old school Zelda games, and like it's not. It just kind of looks that way.
Yeah.
But like,
well, I mean, I'm wrong apparently. Luke in the YouTube chat says Tim should have reviewed this, so my opinion doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, I mean, I played it and I chose not to continue playing it at that point. So it's like I do want to play through this game, but and I think that I will because I enjoy what I played. I enjoyed enough of just like doing the things mindlessly. I liked the rewards that I was getting from it of like just I enjoy the VO enough that I'm like, okay, cool. There's the production value of this game.
Production
I
value
think
is so great,
carries it,
and that's why it sucks. Like, not the game, to be clear. Yeah. The thing, I want to love this game. I was so excited for this game, and then to get in there and not have any of those things that compelled me to turn it on and say I wanted to review it and play it actually pan out sucks, right? Let alone a game-breaking bug where, you know, this I was like, oh, well, I'll never platinum this because I was like, oh, this will be an easy platinum.
Yeah. Mr. Midnight Ride says, how come everyone at KF played 15 minutes of this and then deliberately stopped? What's that about? I've never heard them do that. I mean, I think it says something, right?
It does say
explained it
something.
earlier about like Roger's thoughts on it and Les said his
But also,
thing.
who played 15 minutes? That's my thing. Is like I think we did the preview, which was 4 hours. I only played like less than an hour, and it was the thing that I do with any video game. If I'm interested in it, I'll start it. I can't give every video game 5 hours because guess what? Hundreds of video games come out in a year. But like for me, it was the thing of starting it, being like, okay, like you know, this isn't hitting for me yet. Hearing what Andy and Paris had to say, being like, okay, cool, like maybe I'll check it out. And for me, the big thing, honestly, the reason why I didn't play more for the review is because I have other games that I'm playing. I said yesterday, I have a long RPG that I'm playing.
Yeah.
And so like I kind of have to pick and choose my battles.
I mean, we're an 11-person small business. If you start playing something and it doesn't click with you, like you're gonna bounce out. I think, right? And I think I think enough people knew that we talked about this in meetings that I was going to be quote unquote lead reviewer, which we don't use anymore. But I was committed to playing it for this and being the person for it. But I think, 100%. I feel justified in my end result based on the fact that so many people started it and were like, did the preview for 4 hours or less. Mike, you said what? You thought it took you 2.5, that preview? Yeah. Come over here and you tell them why you stopped playing. Come over here and tell them why they're wrong.
No, Mr. Midnight Ride say, my bad. I just heard finishing the first level chapter. Was just curious. We're not going after you, Mr. Midnight
I'll fucking kill you, Mr. Midnight.
Greg Mike.
He'll go
Greg
after
Mike.
you. He'll murder.
Hey, Mr. Midnight, it's Snowbike Mike. Yeah, I played the 4-hour preview. It took me about 2.5 hours to get through that first half of the game is what they called that, I believe, when we did the preview session. And it is a fun, delightful time. It just unfortunately was not a game for me. I felt like it was more of a kid's game than what I was looking for. And it's just not my cup of tea, but I think it's cute. I think it's fun. It's a great time if you're looking for that.
Thank you, Mike.
There he goes. So yeah, I mean, this I feel like we've talked about everything we kind of need to here for Plucky Squire. Do you
want a super chat though?
Let's super chat it up.
Mental Gear Gaming super chats and says, it seems this is more of an experience with gameplay than an adventure game like Tunic, Death's Door, Cocoon. Am I right there? Is more of an experience with gameplay than yes, you are 100% correct. Sorry, I wanted to wrap my head around exactly what you were saying. Yeah, this is an experience. I think that's what they were going for. But it's crazy that there's at the beginning, it's like, do you want adventure mode or story mode? Story mode's super easy. I'm like, how much easier could this game fucking be? And there's a lot of accessibility in there. I think you can be invulnerable. You can do whatever. You can skip mini games if you don't want to do them. So I mean, they give you the options. But yeah, this is meant to be, I think, as akin to reading a storybook as possible, which of course is you're just turning the pages and going as quickly as you want to, right? I can tell you how fast I read the Golden Book, Paw Patrol, Mighty Pups when I want to get out of the room, and how fast when it's the first book, let's go. Let's hear all about Mayor Humdinger and Harold.
You know what I mean?
Let me tell you, shocking how much the Mighty Pups Golden Book deviates from the movie. Very different, all right?
Oh, man,
and if I have your attention, Paw Patrol, what's with the erasure of the one and only Liberty? All right, you introduce a wiener dog in the films, but God forbid she makes it to the Golden Book. God forbid she makes it to the cartoon. It sickens me. It sickens Cole, and I'm sure Porty's rolling over in his grave about it.
Liberty.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about the Golden Book.
No, I was so concerned with Liberty, who sounds like a The Boys character. Like,
no, Liberty's a cool wiener dog. Don't worry about it.
Liberty's a cool wiener dog, everybody.
Yeah,
fair enough.
Yeah.
You already know.
I don't trust anybody who names their dog Liberty. Like, what are your other pets named? Free speech. Get your dogs.
Well, she's a stray, so don't worry about it. But Ryder finds most of them as strays, I think.
Clawmaster says, how's it feel, Greg? Snowbike Mike's really close behind you in the Fantasy Critic because of this game.
I'll pull ahead. I'm not worried about it. Stomach Mike's got nothing else up his sleeve. Bunch of blanks.
Then Ian Aronoff says, first time watching live for a while. Just did our final wedding payment, getting married in October. Thanks for all the podcasts and content during stressful wedding planning. I love you guys. Thank you so much, and congratulations. I hope you have the best wedding ever.
Indeed.
Any final thoughts on Plucky Squire, Greg?
No, I think I've gone through it. It's a miss for me, but not a miss like that makes it a bad game. I had higher hopes for this. Based on everything we had seen, everything we had heard, I really thought I was going to get into this, and this was going to be a game I would love.
Yeah. I think we saw the reveal and went, oh, this looks like it could be one of the indie games of the year. This looks like it's going to be like one of the standouts of the year. And like, I think it still looks that way, right? And when I talk about like how it pops out the page, no pun intended, the way it jumps off the page when you look at it, it looks like something that is fascinating and really cool.
Yeah.
And I think there is that. I'm fascinated for a lot of the audience to get their hands on it to see what the reaction is in chat live as we talk about the game versus what it's going to be after they play the game, because I find this a lot where there are a lot of games that I think look cooler than they play, and for a lot of people that's enough, right? Like I could see myself if I had like the free time or like if I was just in the mood for this kind of game, right? Something that's easy going. Let me just, hit a bunch of things with a sword and solve easy puzzles and like have a good laid back time. I can see myself being like, oh yeah, no, that was delightful. I think Tinykin might have been that for me, where it was like a game with a fun art style that was like, easy going, but also had a lot of cool, unique things to it. But on the other hand, right, like when you get your hands on the controller with some games, even though like to my eyes, a game can be super pleasing, to my senses, to the substance thing that Roger brought up, right? I'm like, then that was with me with this game. I was kind of like, all right, cool. Like I feel it's almost like I'm dozing off a little bit while playing it, where I'm like, okay, I want something that's a bit more engaging, a bit more, I guess, interesting from a gameplay sense. But yeah, like this looked like something that could have been a standout of the year.
I can't stress enough how good the art style is, and I know anyone looking at it can see it, but you guys know how much of a sucker I am for OLED, and this on OLED it's worth getting just to see. I mean, actually, what's the price of this game? I don't know if it's actually worth getting just for
I think it's on PlayStation, one of the PlayStation Plus tiers for sure.
Oh,
so
yeah, it's on
it is
Plus
worth
Extra.
booting up, absolutely, if you have PlayStation Plus, at the very least, to see if it's for you, but like the art style is so well designed, $35 and so thoughtful,
physical, for sure.
And the
$30 on Steam.
If you can scroll, Kev, to the back where just a bit more world map, less silhouette stuff. Like I love the use of like the thick black outline around everything. Like it just makes everything pop so much. Great color palette, and so like the visuals and production of this is incredible. It's just what's the quality of the game of it? I think that's the more
and also what are you looking for
here? Yeah,
like this is still from the hour I played, and even hearing Greg talk about it, it's still something I would give my 5-year-old nephew. Like if I'm looking for a baby's first Zelda or like a kid's first Zelda, right? Like I could see this appealing to them still in that matter. It's not something I would necessarily be like, I don't know, I would go to my adult friend who just got out of prison and be like, you got to play the Plucky Squire. But I feel like there could be an audience for it, right? I feel like there's people that are going to be looking for this.
Again, like I think I want to be very clear that I think it's a charming experience, right? It's a beautiful game, but to talk about video games, right, and what a game is, of course, is you playing something that you're interacting with. That's where it comes to okay with me, which again is very 6.5, very close to good, but it's that idea of just like, I think as a game, it's just not outstanding. But as an experience, I could easily see it being, for me, I think in a different life. If I hadn't reviewed this, what it would probably be for me is some Saturday where it's like, all right, cool, it's fall, I'm cozy on the couch, I want to play something. I could see me starting this and never finishing it, but coming away being like, I had a great time. I really enjoyed that, right?
Interesting. And I also just think timing-wise, it's a little rough for this too with, Astrobot having just come out. I think I saw a lot of comparisons in the chat to Astrobot. I think that's a little different. Like, I don't think this is quite the 3D platformer that Astrobot is.
God, no.
But with Zelda Echoes of Wisdom coming out next week, and that very much looks to be a, if not baby's
that's
first
very
Zelda,
interesting.
Like a more kid-friendly Zelda game.
That's very interesting of like, as much as I'm talking about, I wish this would have picked a lane, I wish it would have been more challenging. That sounds like what it'll be for me, right?
Yeah, we'll see. But let us know what you think in the comments below. Are you still planning on picking up Plucky Squire? If you're playing it, what are you thinking? Are you enjoying it? I hope that you are. After a word from our sponsors, we're going to talk about some other fun video games. Here they are. This episode's brought to you by Shady Rays. Get ready for the season ahead with quality shades built to last. Our friends over at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that offers an unrivaled product that's just as good as any expensive pair that we've worn. Durable frames and world-class optics for all outdoor adventures. With an extensive array of styles and colors, you're bound to find the perfect pair of Shady Rays sunglasses. Y'all know I've been outside a lot in the sun playing some Pokemon Go, and it's such a great experience wearing my Shady Rays when I'm out and about looking dope. Every pair of sunglasses is backed by lost or broken replacements. If you lose or break your pair, even on day one, they told us they will send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal. Head to shadyrays.com and use code KINDAFUNNY for 50% off 2 or more pairs of shades. You can try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. shadyrays.com, use code KINDAFUNNY for 50% off 2 or more pairs of shades. This episode is brought to you by Hims. Guys, sometimes intimate moments happen spontaneously, and we'll always want to be ready so we can perform in the bedroom. Hims has treatments that can help you stay hard and last longer, giving you that boost of confidence so you can be ready whenever the mood strikes. Hims is changing men's healthcare by providing access to affordable sexual health treatments, all from the comfort of your couch. No insurance is needed. Pay one low price for your treatments, online visits, ongoing shipments, and provider messaging. Start your free online visit today at hims.com/kindafunny. That's HIMS.com/kindafunny for your personalized ED treatment options. hims.com/kindafunny. The products mentioned are chewable compounded products, which are not approved by or verified for safety or effectiveness by the FDA. Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions, details, and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan. Bless.
Tim,
I want to take you for a ride.
take me for a ride, Tim.
Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics is finally here, and I can't believe it. The world can't believe it. We have Justin Wong out here slapping fools on the internet.
My favorite is him tweeting out like a picture of the game on his Switch and being like, "Time to play with the Switch players," and all the players like, "No, get the fuck away!"
Please don't do this. Have you heard about this, Greg?
No.
Justin Wong, who's like iconic fighting game, like
pro
just
player,
who's incredible. He is just dominating the leaderboards and like going on every system and just destroying
killing
fools.
people.
Destroying people.
I love that.
And it's just awesome. But anyways, besides him, which I'm having such a great time watching that whole saga, I had one of the best weekends of my life just playing through these games. And like, it's Marvel vs. Capcom is always going to be one of my favorite games. And it's definitely a perfect example of a game that I am horrible at.
Dude, same.
Absolutely horrible at, but it does not matter because it's so fun, and everyone here knows how much I love Marvel. I also very much like to love Capcom. You put those things together, it's going to be a great time, but there's something about the presentation and style and video gaminess of these games that is timeless, and they look so good. The CRT filters, the banners that they have on this stuff, everything about it is just so amazing and classic. And it's like, this is when I think video game, I think of this look and these sounds and the crunchiness of the sound effects and all of the same sound effects used over. Thank you. There we go.
Come on, dude.
Come on. But what's been super fun is I've always been, and I still am, a Marvel vs. Capcom 2 boy, where a lot of my Marvel history and character knowledge came from Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I learned about Thanos for the first time from Marvel vs. Capcom 2. And I'm sure I'm not alone in that. I'm sure many people learned about so many of these characters for the first time. But what's really fun for me is back then when I was playing it at the Round Table Arcade, you know,
The Last Honest Pizza.
I remember I never had a Dreamcast, but I wanted to buy a Dreamcast just for this game. And when they finally put it out on PS2, I was there day one. Me and my friends were obsessed with this. None of us were good, but we played the hell out of it. And what's really fun now is, so that was Marvel vs. Capcom 2. My best friend Curran had Marvel vs. Capcom 1. We'd play that all the time on PS1 as well. But now that I'm older and now that I appreciate video games and Marvel and Capcom in such a different way, this collection is damn near perfect. And even if you're not a fighting game guy, even if you're not into, if you don't have much history with these things, it is so much fun to just bounce between the different games and kind of just see the lineage, see the history, see what characters were in the early versions and then in others, and realize that there's so many of these. The reason that Marvel vs. Capcom 2 has a 56 character roster is because they were just ripped straight out from the other games that they've made, where like there was such a direct lineage. And I know that this is obvious information to a lot of people, but as somebody that didn't have access to majority of these games, to see them start with X-Men Children of the Atom, there was essentially almost exactly just Street Fighter 2, but with X-Men.
Yeah.
And it's like the gameplay of it was 1v1, 8 characters that you get to choose from, going to the different locations. It is so, and the pace of it, the speed, it is Street Fighter 2. And Street Fighter 2 is a game that in my adult life, like I want to say in my like late teens, early 20s is when I actually played Street Fighter 2 for the first time. Like not just a couple quarters at the arcade, but more like I got it for my Super Nintendo at a Goodwill and played through it and actually beat the game and learned the characters and all that stuff. Playing through, I played the not career mode, but like
The arcade mode.
the arcade
campaign,
mode, like
the ladder.
a arcade mode ladder for each of these games this weekend, just to see it through. And it's so fun to see how like this starts where it is just Street Fighter 2, and then they start to get their identity when you go through the like the X-Men versus Capcom, and then the Marvel superheroes, and like all of it just starts to grow on top of each other, and it is just awesome. Once Spider-Man gets introduced, the game is changed, and it's just so great to see him with his web swing and web throw and all the iconic stuff.
Webbing.
And like, look at these characters. Like,
The art, dude. The art is so good. As somebody who never was a fighting game guy, like I would go to arcades and just watch because it was so beautiful. It still is.
I mean, honestly, like I am such a big Spider-Man guy. This is the best Spider-Man design ever.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I want Spider-Man to look like. Look at how big his eyes are, man. It's just
Giant
perfect,
spider
How he
man.
moves, how he poses.
And then, like, Kev, if you, it might be hard to find this, but like, we need to look at Gambit. We need to talk about Gambit.
Somebody's got to talk about
Because
Gambit.
I don't think anyone's ever looked cooler than Gambit in the Marvel vs. Capcom games. But anyway, I'm having such a fun time. And the thing that breaks my heart the most is, as much as Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is my favorite, and I stand by it, and like, obviously the gameplay is the best, and the 3-on-3, the insanity, just the fun of it all. That's all there. I just gotta be real as an adult looking at these things. The Marvel vs. Capcom 2 soundtrack is atrocious. It is a
not wrong.
to humanity. And obviously I loved I Want to Take You for a Ride, and I love the memes. I love all that stuff. And even all the jazzy stuff, I still love it, knowing it's fucking bad.
Yeah.
But then when you listen to the soundtrack of Marvel vs. Capcom 1, it's like, this is perfection. This is what video games should sound like. And then you look at the visuals, you look at the background of the stages of any Marvel vs. Capcom 1 and prior, and you compare it to MVC 2. Yo, what the fuck were they smoking, man? All this, the 3D clown and shit. It's like they fucked up, man. Anyway, I just had to get those thoughts off my chest.
I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did.
But it's like, Greg, you're playing Marvel vs. Capcom 1, and the music changes depending on the character you're playing. And it's like their theme songs. When Mega Man pops in, it's fucking Mega Man music. And then when your character switches out, it's like all the X-Men have like unique Capcom-made themes, and they're bangers, man.
Can I say why I went to Evo and I had gotten an appointment to play the collection, and I went through all the games. I probably played like 10 minutes of each of the games on the, that were available on the thing, and I got to Marvel vs. Capcom 1, which is what's on screen right now, right? Yes. And it was my first time playing MVC 1, and I was like, this shit slaps, dude. Like, I was shocked. I like how it controls. I like it. It feels a bit more grounded than MVC 2, because MVC 2 just goes off the chain when it comes to like, we're gonna add every single character we know into this thing.
Well, you don't.
Yeah, there's something about the way MVC 1 moves and plays that I'm like, I kind of prefer this in a lot of ways. Now that said, now that we've got our hands on the full game, on the final game, and a few days ago I like sat down and played it for about an hour or so, just playing online. Man, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, it is magical. Like, it is like, man, I can't believe this exists kind of game. My history with it isn't as deep as Tim's when it comes to Marvel vs. Capcom 2. It's also a weird one, where it's a game that I would see, I think, periodically at arcades, and I would like try it out at an arcade, but I never got too deep into the gameplay because I never owned it. I would also see it online. Like, there's this weird thing of, I had a big Flash game era as a kid, like many of us did, right? We're just playing games on websites. And I swear to God that like there was some Flash Marvel vs. Capcom game that was available out there.
It was
Do you know what I'm talking about?
There's the big MAME. MAME. I think.
Well, no, it wasn't that. But
okay.
I know, yeah, because MAME is like, you can put anybody in there. Like, people are making fucking Mugen. Yeah, they're making Bart Simpson fight fucking like Goku. Vegeta. Yeah. Like that was Mugen. There was like some and I don't know if maybe it was an emulator. I don't know what it was, but I would like seek that out all the time online, and it would like pop up and it would disappear. I don't know if that was like a rights thing or a copyright thing. I don't know if they're doing that back then.
They're just fucking running from the cops.
All I know is that like periodically I would find a Marvel vs. Capcom thing online, play it for a session, go, oh, this is amazing, and then the next night I'd try to play it, it'd be gone. But because of that, this game has always been kind of like this ethereal, mythical thing of, I know Marvel vs. Capcom is out there, but I don't have a way to play it. It sounds like the coolest thing ever. As an adult, or as I got older, around college, I had a group of friends that were super into fighting games. Ceremal was like the leader of them. He was like this fucking 30-year-old man that had a PS3. And me and my friend Stevie would hang out with Ceremal, play a bunch of fighting games. That's how I got into Tekken. That's how I got into I got my butt smacked in Ultra Street Fighter 4. And that's how I didn't get into Street Fighter. And then he had Marvel vs. Capcom 2 on there somehow. And it was like a lot of us from our church from back in the day, right? It was me, it was Stevie, it was Ceremal, and then our friend DP. DP and Ceremal, they were like the older dudes in the group. Like I think around that time, both of them were close to 30. And me and Stevie would watch Ceremal and DP go back and forth in Marvel versus Capcom 2, and our minds would be blown because DP, we didn't even know he played video games. But he was just a fucking menace.
Savant.
He was a fucking menace at Marvel vs. Capcom 2. He would play Wolverine. He would play Sentinel. And he would just use like the move where Sentinel would like push his feet.
Yeah.
And he'd be, every time he'd do that move, he'd be like, back up, back up. Like,
That's all this stupid.
it
love that.
was so hilarious to watch him and Samuel go back and forth and be like, back up. And like, that was shit, man. This is a time of our lives right
That's
here.
so
Like, this is
fucking
incredible.
funny. Dude, I had the exact same. This is so fucking stupid, but I remember being at Curran's house, and I would always play Mega Man in MVC1, and one of his specials, he just shoots a bunch of ducks out, and I would just start yelling "Ducky Time" at him, and he fucking hated it. And always getting destroyed by Mega Man's ducks was just like not the move.
And it was that game. It's almost like as much of a party game, it feels like, as much as it is a fighting game. Like, obviously it's a fighting game, but there's a chaotic nature to Marvel versus Capcom 2 that makes it so that you can invite anybody over and they're gonna have a good time, because it is just you throwing out specials. It is like you're jumping all over the screen. The speed of it is insane, especially when you're playing on turbo. And I've been experiencing that this last time, jumping into it over this last week, playing online and being like, man, I cannot get down the rhyme and reason to this game. All I know is that I'm having a good time.
and that's a great place I want to catch up on here, because DeVinster in the chat says, I've never played MVC, would I still enjoy it without the nostalgia that you guys have? And I think the answer is, if you are interested in Marvel at all, if you're interested in that style of fighting game, the answer is easily yes. There's a lot here, and it is just fun, even if you don't know what you're doing. Just button mashing in these games is enjoyable.
Yeah.
And it's so flashy, and the things that are happening are very cool, and you understand what's going on. I think it's a very readable fighting game, which is important. And also it's characters, like Iron Man and
Captain America, and
which is just cool,
Iceman.
right? But I will say, these are arcade ports of all the games. So like there's no tutorial. There's no like onboarding process. These are games that were designed to eat your quarters.
Yeah.
Now the good thing is it's free play, so you can just continue as many times as you need to. But I will say, as somebody that is bad at these games and doesn't understand them, that has not changed. Like, playing through these, I'm just like, I wish that there was some level of like,
There's a training mode.
there's training mode,
Yeah.
but it doesn't train you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you play a new Mortal Kombat now, and it like
They're teaching the
there's a
mechanics.
tutorial of like, here's what's going on here. Here you just jumped in, and it's like you can pull up the actual. I love it. There's so much great stuff in this game of like being able to look at the old arcade cabinet art, but like on the arcade cabinets, there'd be that like the move list. You know what I mean? And it's just a shit ton of words and a shit ton of like directions. I'm like, this doesn't mean anything,
Dude,
to
yeah,
me.
I guess for me, as somebody who's like, I'm playing all the fighting games that are coming out. I'm super into them. I look at the move list for this game and I'm like, fuck that. No, I'm not doing this. I ain't got the time to figure out what this notation is. Learning a new language.
Yeah, but it's great, man. I
Who's your
really
three?
feel in MVC3. I mean, here's the thing, or MVC2.
MVC2, yeah.
MVC2. Back in the day, I was such a basic bitch. It was Spider-Man, Wolverine, and
Me.
Wolverine.
Oh my
Because
god.
there's two Wolverines in the game.
Jesus
they
Christ.
let you do one has the bones and one has the
That's disgusting.
adamantium. But then in more modern times, again, I'm basic in a different way now. I've been playing a lot with I always got to go Spidey though. I still love Spidey. But Spidey, Gambit, and Chun-Li.
Okay, yeah, I'm rolling Akuma just because I understand how that character works. Start playing a lot of Captain America. I'm liking this guy. Fucking throw a shield all over the place, pick it back up, throw it again. And then Cyclops. Just because X-Men 97 has me in such a Cyclops mode.
And Cyclops looks dope as hell in this
He
game.
looks sick as hell.
But yeah, look, Greg, look at this. Look at the background. Look how stupid it looks.
It's all 3D.
Right?
Yeah, that's horrible.
Like, it's just like, and I like how much the characters pop. Like, that's nice. But even the hyper combo background, like, it's just, it lacks excitement. It's so dull.
The shadow of the character, these pixelated 2D characters.
And again, the music is just like this weird ass, like, fruity jazz. It's like weird stuff. But then, Kev, go back to MVC 1 just for like a quick comparison. Like, MVC 1 is art. It's perfection.
It looks fantastic.
I mean,
Yeah, I'm
honestly,
surprised we don't hear
before,
people talk
but-
about. I get that MVC 2 was probably the most exciting one. Yeah, I'm surprised I don't hear people talk about the first one as much.
Yeah.
'Cause
and
I'm like, it's solid. Like, it's a solid ass video game.
Yeah. Great stuff here. Anyways, I could talk forever about this. Jossie G says, Tim, you got to check out Capcom vs. SNK2 soundtrack. I do. You're right. And then Portland Kevin says, didn't Greg fight someone in MVC2 at IGN where their job was at stake? Mark Ryan, I imagine, who was the demon.
Oh
at this
no,
game.
I think you're thinking of Colin. I think it was the son. It might have been in Extra Life where Colin and Mark Ryan did 100 matches.
That's insane.
And if Colin could win one, Mark Ryan would have to make him in charge of the channel. Or
That's
whatever.
so funny because, dude, Mark Ryan was
insane.
nasty at
Insane.
MVC2. That's awesome.
Fuck yeah.
One thing I don't like about Marvel Capcom 1 and 2, and I've hated this since I was a little kid, when you hit X to accept your character, it gives you the alt colors.
Yeah. Yeah.
Always fucks me up. And there's no way to go back that I
Yeah.
know of. But use square, everybody.
There you go. Use square.
Use square. Moving on from MVC collection to another collection. UFO 50.
UFO 50.
A very interesting game made by the developer of Spelunky.
Yes.
Bless, you've been playing this. You're obsessed with this.
Yeah, so I've been playing. I've played a little bit of it. It's been just a busy time of balancing multiple games, but this is one that I wanted to get into because I went to San Diego recently for an event and I ran into Mitchell Saltzman, who was telling me about how he was playing this game, and he was like, "Dude, it's really cool." And I was like, "Oh wait," and I was like, "Didn't this game already come out?" He's like, "No, it's just been in development forever. Like, it just got announced forever ago and it's about to come out." And so I hit up Greg and I was like, "Yo, can I get a code for this?" And basically what this game is it is a collection of NES games that don't actually exist, right? The idea of it is, think of those cartridges that you got back in the day that are like the bunch of games in one cartridge that, you know, did you get them
Yeah,
legally?
allegedly,
you might have allegedly
Why
had
is
these
Pikachu
games.
blue? I don't know.
Yeah, what's going on? But this is essentially a modernly made version of that by Mossmouth, who is the developer of Spelunky. It is 50 games made by this UFO 50 developer, and when you boot up the game at first, you see 50 cartridges on your screen.
That's cool.
And they're organized chronologically. And so the idea is that, yeah, these games were in development back in the day and they each have like a year attached to it. So like the first game might have came out in 1980 and like the last game might have came out in 86 or something. And the first thing that I immediately did was I went to the first game, booted it up, saw how it moved. And I was like, and then I came out of it, went to the very last game because I wanted to see like, all right, how hard are they committing to like having this be a chronological thing? And it was so fucking cool because I went to the first game and it felt like this archaic, like, oh, this feels like the first game ever released on the NES. Then you go to the last game and it's like, oh shit, this feels like Mario 3, like y'all have a hold of this, like, you know, it's way more intense graphically and all this shit. And so you go through and you can kind of feel the progression of games throughout time on on this NES platform. But then on top of that, the games are super varied. They have multiplayer games, they have single player games.
Full games.
They're full games.
These are not mini games.
No.
This is not a mini game collection. This is a game collection.
These are 50 NES games that feel like they could have came out on the NES and have been full-fledged releases. And so when I go through some of them, like one of my favorite ones here is called Seaside Drive. Now this one, I'm just going to read the description of this one on Steam. Sometimes you want to break from long open world games and challenging strategy titles. So why not jump into a straightforward arcade style game like Seaside Drive? But even in the popular genre, UFO 50 brings something new to the table. In this case, Ojiro Fumoto, the creator of Downwell, designed a stylish car-based shoot 'em up where drifting across the screen is how you power up your gun. So this is a game. Oh man, Kevin's on it. That was actually the game just there. It's a game that was developed by the creator of Downwell for this collection. And what you're basically playing is like this car that is drifting back and forth. And you're also doing like shoot 'em up stuff. So like you're shooting all this shit in the air. You have like
Free Willy in the
helicopters and you had Free Willy for some reason. And you're shooting at them, but the way you charge your gun is by drifting. And so you have to go back and forth, drift while dodging incoming fire and then shooting back at all the enemies. Super fun. There was another game I played that was like a 8-bit RPG. It was basically Final Fantasy, and you start it and like you start off as like this ghost, right? And there's this fire in this like bar or something, and like you have to like save. You have to save.
Ghost is on fire in a bar.
You play as a ghost. There's a fire in the bar. You save 4 of the people, and those 4 people make up your party members. And so I think for me, one of them was a cowboy, another was a dancer.
Classic.
Right? Yeah, like they all have very different.
All the Final Fantasy classes.
Yeah, exactly. They all have different backstories to them. And you start the game, it is a straight up like 8-bit RPG. And I was like, this is cool. I ain't got the time for this shit. Like, because I was like, oh, certainly this is going to end. And I played 20 minutes. I'm like, this feels like the beginning of an adventure. And I do not have the time for an adventure. So I pop out of that one. There was another game that I played that was a competitive, like, strategy sim game where you're an ant. And like there's a queen ant, and then you have to get the eggs back to your queen ant. And when you do, she generates like either like an army ant or like a transporter ant. And so you have to like basically take over versus like the enemy that's trying to do the same thing. There's just a variety of things here, and they're all these 8-bit NES games that are made just for this collection. They aren't real games, or I guess they are real games now, but they weren't real games back then.
Yeah.
It's such a creative, cool idea.
So
I'm
the
stoked.
one question I have, it sounds awesome. This is amazing.
Yeah.
Is there a narrative to it? Like, because these are made by real creators. So Downwell guy does this, Spelunky does this,
Yeah.
but then they have these fictional backstories of it's 1990, whatever, blah blah.
Yeah.
Is there like this is one developer and their whole thing? Is it like
It's like one publisher.
Is it like
UFO
Immortality? Where somebody said, or is that just?
I
them?
don't think so.
Okay, I didn't know if it's like
Yeah.
you're gonna find out something horrible is them.
Like I don't think there's anything that's like, oh, there's an overarching story connecting them
Okay,
all together.
okay.
Aside from UFO 50 being the publisher, I believe that's like, or UFO, I don't know. They're the publisher that's putting out all these games. I will say, one of the other cool things is that there are sequels to games in here that are
Okay.
like one of them ones is Campanella. And you'll find that early in the collection, and then there's Campanella 2 that
So
comes around
cool.
later.
That's awesome.
So there's sequels to games within the collection. Yeah, I've been having a fun time with it. I barely scratched the surface, if I'm being
That's
honest.
a really cool idea.
So there could be an overarching thing that I'm not discovered yet, because I've played maybe 8 out of 50 of the games, and Raj has been playing them too, and we've been comparing notes of, oh, I played this, oh, you played this, and like been trying to figure out like what the best games are.
Got it.
But it's available, I believe, already available on Steam. And I forget other platforms, but I can look that up real quick.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna
UFO
download
50.
this tonight for sure.
If you're an NES person, you got to check it out.
That trailer was from 7 years ago.
Dang.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
on the end little
Card.
here,
End card.
yeah, it says coming in 2018.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right now I think I just
that's
have it on
awesome.
Steam.
Wild, man. Very cool stuff, though. Moving on from that, any opportunity I get to talk about Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, I'm going to take, Bless.
Take it.
And I'm very happy that I have a good opportunity to talk about it because the Mask of Darkness DLC came out today. I have not finished it yet. I want to say I'm probably a third to a half done with it from my time last night. And I just can't believe that debatably my game of the year just keeps getting better. I can't believe there's DLC for this game, and real DLC. Like, this is a whole new mission with a new part of the map and like new abilities, new platforming styles, which I really didn't expect, and new story elements. Like they're going in with the cutscenes, with new VO and new bits to enhance the story of Lost Crown, which I enjoyed so much. I will say that so far, it's not my favorite bits of the game. They add this new platforming element where there's these like cylinders that you can kind of like jump on and like wrap your arms around, and then like you go to the
Give a
other
big
side of it
hug.
by holding left or right and hitting X. And it just kind of doesn't feel as good as a lot of the other platforming bits did in the core game. But the story of it is as good as the rest of it so far.
Okay.
And the platforming challenge is everything I could want from this game, where I've been playing the challenge mode DLC that came out in July over the last couple months, and it is just so brutal. Like, it is just like, hey, let's take this gameplay and turn it up to a 12 difficulty. And I think there's like 20 challenges, and at this point I've only beaten 4. Like, they're very hard. Even though I spent hours trying. With this feels a lot more balanced to be an experience that's paced like the game. So The difficulty is rising nicely, but it's also very difficult because the platforming in this game is demanding. And the platforming and combat mixture, I don't know that I've ever had it feel as good as this game. And they continue to wow me with that in this DLC. And what was immediately something I didn't like about it, but then it slapped me in the face and said I'm a stupid bitch really quickly.
Whoa!
They take away your powers. They take away your powers like right when you get into this, and you're very limited in your abilities. And I'm like, did you motherfuckers really take away my double jump? I need my double jump, bless. So I was kind of mad about that. But then as you start going through some of the platforming challenges, it's like, okay, clearly they designed this around you not having the double jump. And like they wanted a more curated experience. And I was like, that's why y'all make games and I don't.
Yeah.
Because I'm really, really enjoying what they've done so far with this. And it's just really impressive. It's $5. And it feels a lot more substantial than $5 to me. But then there's the flip side of like, $5 is just a weird amount to put on DLC for this game. Like, it almost feels like just put this out for free if you're going to do that. It's like, I don't know. I'm kind of torn on the pricing of it. Yeah, actually, Kev, what you just had right there he was like straddling the shaft.
Whoa. Jesus Lord.
Hey, it's what he's doing. The mechanics of it don't feel as like just fluid as a lot of the momentum and motion the rest of the game has. Whereas like there's some of those weird blue things you're seeing where you can jump in and you strike it with your sword and it launches you different ways and like teleports you a bit. That's great. That feels like vintage Prince of Persia Lost Crown that really takes me back to January 2024. You know what I mean? But love this game.
So long ago.
Can't wait to keep playing more of it. The fact that we got more of this is absolutely crazy to me, but this is a very, very special video game, and I'm just happy there's even more of it coming out. So,
Hell yeah.
now, Bless, you have one more game you want to talk about.
I do. Jackbox Naughty Pack.
Naughty.
This is one that we got the review code for, and man, it came in at perfect timing because
First off, this is one you've been asking about forever.
You've been
Yes,
asking about.
I have
it.
been,
It's rare you hit me up about a code and you were like, hey, when the time comes, okay, what about this?
because it's one of those things where like because I for some reason was CC'd on the email between you and the PR,
yeah.
and I eyed it and I was like, this is one that I think Greg would just ignore if I don't poke him about. And so I was like, Greg, just so you know, when this comes, I want the code. I want to play this one. And it came in at perfect timing because I had friends over. I talked about this yesterday about like I had friends over to play Smash and like play Mario Party and stuff and hang out this weekend. And when they came through, I was like, oh guys, I got the new Jackbox.
Hold up.
But not only is it a new Jackbox, it's the Jackbox Naughty Pack. And they're all like, whoa. Yeah.
Put their keys
Like a
in the
fucking
bowl.
90s commercial.
Yeah, they're all like, it's the Naughty Pack. And I was like, yeah, it's the new Jackbox Naughty Pack. Like, we got to play it. And if you're somebody, everybody in our audience is likely familiar with Jackbox, right? It's a party.
They've watched enough party modes to know Jackbox.
Yeah, it's a collection of party games that you play with your phone, and it's meant to be a social thing, right? And usually a Jackbox party pack comes with 5 to 6 games. It's usually drawful. It's usually like there are the games that you Quiplash, like the games that you know. Jackbox Naughty Pack. As soon as we booted it up, we were
Embarrassed?
surprised by the amount of games. It was a lesser amount of games than what we're used to. There are 3 games on this thing.
Okay.
The games are. Oh, actually, I have the Steam page. Let me get the correct names right. The first game is Faking It All Night Long.
We know. Oh.
Faking it all night long.
Naughty.
The second game is Dirty Drawful. And then the third game is called Let Me Finish. Let Me Finish is the only new game that's included in the pack. So that was kind of shocking and a bit disappointing because usually you're getting 5 to 6 games. This one you're getting 3 games. And Faking It and Drawful are games that have been in Jackbox party packs. Like we know what Faking It and Drawful.
And just to stop you, it's just like, have you ever played Jackbox and not had it just be naughty like this?
Which should have been the first red flag because I was like, oh, it's going to be naughty, which means they're going to lean into the way that we already play Jackbox.
Yeah.
Because when you're playing Jackbox, half of the answers people are writing down are cum or nuts or something that is going to be a dirty answer if you're playing with that group of people. So I was like, okay, well, they're going to lean into it, and maybe that's going to make it more fun. Maybe that's going to enhance the experience. What I found with both Faking It and Faking It All Night Long and Dirty Drawful is that the prompts that they're giving are mostly the prompts that I'm pretty sure have already been in the game. There was not much dirty about these prompts. And me and my friends were like, oh, we could have gone way harder with this, right?
Yeah,
like it
yeah,
is like we're draw like it feels like they snuck in like a few things here and there, but even the dirty things didn't feel that dirty. It's like things like diarrhea related.
Oh no, I poop candy.
Yeah, it's like
Everyone laughed at my blank rope.
it's less sexy stuff and more like, oh, we can push into PG-13 as opposed to just PG. And so like, yeah, you'll get jokes about diarrhea or jokes maybe. I don't even remember if we had like titty jokes or anything like that.
Titties might be off limits. You know,
Like, I don't know. So Faking It and Dirty Drawful were kind of disappointing on the naughty side. Like, they're still those games, and so they're fun for playing Faking It or Drawful. But then we play Let Me Finish, which the whole premise of Let Me Finish, here, I'll just read it straight.
Please.
Let Me Finish is Jackbox's new presentation game that examines life's serious questions like, where is the mailbox's butt? Or, how does this avocado get aroused? Everyone gets a chance to speak their mind, but will others pick up what you're putting down? So this is a game where they ask random ass questions that aren't great questions, right? Like the one on the screen right now is, where is this thing's, and it blurs out the last word and it just shows some fucking licorice, right? And it's like, you get a prompt like this.
but when you're playing the game, does it blur?
No, but maybe this prompt they blur. I don't know. Maybe
It's you can read the word.
does
What
that
is it?
say pussy?
Yeah, it does.
Wow.
Naughty!
See, I don't
Naughty.
remember reading the word pussy when I was playing. I feel like that might just
It's
be
out
for
of
the
the
ad.
bag.
Yeah,
You were playing the Switch version. That's probably what got you.
but I was playing the Switch version.
I know.
Um,
I request the code.
so it'll ask, where's this thing's pussy? And it'll show you a picture of licorice. And then everybody playing has to like draw on their phone, like, I guess where the thing's pussy is. And then you have to argue and like make the case of, oh, this is why I circled this thing. But it never feels, oh, this is actually one that we got too. So which of these meats most wants to be called daddy? And then I have to circle a meat and then explain why that's the meat that wants to be called daddy.
Let me just tell you right now.
The prompts are so fucking bad.
I don't hate this.
I hate it.
This sounds like you get the right group of people together, and this could be a funny Jackbox game. I don't know if it needs to be in the naughty edition though. Like
Naughty.
that's like, all right, we get it. We get
Yeah,
it.
it just didn't. I think the part that immediately was awkward and not as fun was like okay, so this is why I circled this meat. It's because it's long. It is, and surely somebody with a meat that long, they want to be called daddy. Like, yeah, and like the next person will go and they're like, yeah, I circled this one because it's like it's all tied up. And we're like, well, if you're tied up in ropes, like I feel like that's less daddy. And like we're getting into those conversations. They just didn't feel as like fun though. I don't know.
Yeah.
It wasn't. It's not like it was the wrong group of people too. Because
Yeah.
this is my group of friends that's down a clown. Michael Hine was in this group of friends.
Yeah.
So this is the group of friends that's
Wasn't
down a
anime
clown.
enough, you know what I mean?
It was
Wasn't some depressed anime he could talk about. That was his problem.
But yeah, like one of the ones we got was like where it was like a picture of a submarine, and it's like, where would this submarine take it from behind? And I'm like, I don't know, man. like I'm looking at the submarine. I'm like, I don't fucking know. I don't know. And I don't want to make the argument. Somebody was like
a kid breaking down in a long division class in the 4th grade. I don't know.
I don't know, man. It's dumb. I got circled the back of the submarine. I was like, because it's the back. I don't fucking know.
Just quietly turned it off.
Yeah,
It's the back.
well, like halfway through, it was like the thing of my friends were like, is this game hidden for y'all? And we're all like, not really.
Yeah.
Like, not at all. Yeah, so that was disappointing. And then, yeah, like you would have the narrators trying to spice up the night. You know how like you're playing Jackbox and there's always like the commentary
Yeah,
or whatever.
yeah, yeah.
And the commentary here,
Cookie, wasn't that his name?
I always thought it was Jack.
No, that was the thing.
I guess you don't know Jack would be Jack.
I think Cookie hosts You Don't Know Jack.
Oh, gotcha. But yeah, like the commentary here was like, put down your beer and finish your answer. And I'm like, all right, so beer's naughty for you. All right, cool. Like
Cool.
that's where we're at. So yeah, didn't have much fun with this one. I was very disappointed. Yeah, and that's my review.
That is a bummer.
That's my review. If I'm gonna give it a number, I'd give it a 3 out of 10.
Wow.
Yeah, haven't played all
Wow.
3 games in this thing. 3 out of 10.
You got a 10, bad, everybody. Let us know in the comments below if you're interested at all in playing the Jackbox Naughty Pack with your friends and where you think the submarine's butthole is. Please let me know.
Somebody
You
asked.
know
if-
what? Fuck that. Tweet at Nick_Scarpino and let him know where you think a submarine asshole is, okay? I've had to live with Nick's bullshit for so many years of toilet toads and this and that.
Yeah, Nick only
Send
did
Nick
that.
the submarine assholes, everybody.
Somebody asked if I was playing sober with my friends. I think the problem is that we did start with that game. We were drinking, and also my friend's about to convince me to eat half a weed gummy.
They might have.
Allegedly. Allegedly.
I can't confirm. Nor
Michael
deny.
Hyam, don't you sully our pure boy, all
Can't
right?
confirm nor deny.
Keep this crazy IGN drug addiction away.
Oh my god, that is freaking hilarious. We got to play Jackbox again. Maybe not the naughty one, but like we got to bring that back. I haven't heard Roger. You know what I mean?
Oh,
What's Roger have to
Roger
say?
couldn't do it. He couldn't hang.
He
in
couldn't
the
do it?
He couldn't do the naughty version.
Well, any version. You know what I mean? I just want to hear what comes out of his little
I mean, maybe
mind.
y'all could get some juice out of the naughty version. I'd like to see this group of people try to play the naughty version.
Yeah.
See if that ruins
Maybe
the
we
stream.
should try. Maybe, yeah, let's see. But anyways, let us know in the comments below. Honestly, whatever you want. We're just looking for the engagement, and I really appreciate it. So just be nice to me on this beautiful Tuesday, September 17th. I love you. I love you so much. We're about to do a stream, though. It's going to be Nick being a supermarket attendant. It's going to be great. Superintendent.
Superintendent of a supermarket?
I don't fucking know. I'm so lost right now, and I'm very hungry. Anyways, I love you all. Goodbye.